This is Romanosky from the Distinctive Collection in Calgary, Canada. And what we have here is a very special car. This is our first Bentley Continental Supersports. So this is based on the popular Continental GT, but made for the customer who wants a little bit more of aggressive and sporting experience from their Bentley. So in a sense, this car is going back to the Bentley roots in the 20s and the 30s, when the Bentleys were basically all racing cars, and they won Le Mans for 5 times with Wolf Barnado and the Bentley boys, etc., etc. Most people's impression of a Bentley now comes from, perhaps the last 50 years or 60 years of mostly owned by Rolls-Royce, and basically Bentleys being Rolls-Royce spin-offs, which are pure luxury cars. Bentley's gone some way to change that, starting in the mid-80s with their Mulsanne, named after a corner at Le Mans, of course. But this is the first out and out, I would say, sporting Bentley. It's the first Bentley, I would say, that you could actually take to the racetrack, and that it wouldn't embarrass itself at all. So they started with the Continental GT, and they remapped the engine and boosted the power up to 621 horsepower from the speeds 600. They made an initiative to be more environmentally conscious with the Bentleys. Of course, the owners don't want to give up any performance or any luxury, and so they designed this new engine to run on biofuel, but not give up any performance. So they thought it was important that the most overtly sporting Bentley would also be the first Bentley to be able to run on biofuel, and which they say can account for a 70% reduction in CO2 emissions on a wheel-to-wheel basis. But anyway, so they took the car, they lightened the car, they came up with some new materials. We have seats that are right out of a Bugatti Veyron, actually, and of course the Volkswagen Audi group owns Bugatti as well as Bentley, so that was easy. And so these are a carbon shelled seat, and that alone I think saved about 100 kilograms. You can see the backs of the seats, and they didn't use a full gloss on the carbon. It's like a 65% gloss, and then a satin finish on the aluminum. So it's just gorgeous. They got rid of the rear seats, and then just put the quilted Alcantara backing and parcel shelf, and then we have a carbon fiber strut brace, and this also functions to locate the fitted luggage or any luggage if you have it. Now, you don't have to take this interior. Bentley will also sell this car with the conventional multi-adjustable power seats with lumbar, etc. But this is how they're showing the car initially, just to advertise its really sporting pretensions. So we've got the quilted Alcantara on the door panel, and then we have the carbon fiber on the instrument cluster in the matte finish, and the center console here. We've got a new material for the steering wheel, which is like a neoprene, moisture wicking steering wheel surround, 3-spoke wheel, and then we've got but still the traditional Bentley push-pull vents, which have been around since the 50s. So overall, it's a much different experience than the Continental GT. Outside, we've got changes to the body panels, and a much more aggressive front air dam with more openings, the larger apertures for the cooling of the engine, which it needs. And then we have extra vents cut in to the top of the hood. The Brightwear, instead of being chromed on the Speed, has now a black or a smoked black finish, and as do the wheels. And this is a new process for Bentley. It's actually a vapor deposit process, and it would be similar to what you get on fine jewelry, watches, etc. So it's a gorgeous satin finish on the rims, really beautiful. And these are, I believe, the largest brakes that have been fitted to a passenger car so far, and these are the carbon ceramic brakes. And the caliper is just gigantic as well. These discs are probably, you know, 1.5 inches thick or something like that, and looked at, they're greater than 15 inches in diameter. So huge carbon brakes. You know, for even though it's lightened a bit, it's still a pretty heavy car. And then Bentley also retuned the drivetrain for a more sporting experience. So where the Continental GT is 50-50 torque distribution for the front and the rear, of course these are all-wheel drive cars, so they shifted the torque distribution rearward. So there's 60% to the rear wheels and 40% to the trunk. Also, the wheels and tires are wider, and the car has a wider track in the rear than it does in the front, and then wider than the Continental GTs. They adjusted the transmission so it shifts a lot more positively and quicker, and that with the lightened body and lightened interior and the carbon brakes, which reduces the unsprung weight for each wheel tremendously, because a standard Bentley steel disc probably weighs about 50 pounds, and these probably only weigh about maybe, you know, 1 or 2 pounds, maybe 1 kilogram each. Accounts for a completely different driving experience, where a normal Continental Speed, you know, isn't really at home on the racetrack. It'll do it, but it's, you know, it's the high-speed body movements are not as controlled as would be on this car. But this car feels right at home at the track. So, but it hasn't lost the compliance you'd need to drive the car in the city either. I mean, it's not compared to other track cars or track-oriented cars, Scuderia, Ferraris, GT2 Porsches, etc. It's still a Bentley, so it's still comfortable. But the thing about this car is that it will go just about as fast as a Scuderia Ferrari or a Porsche GT2, yet you can be in perfect comfort with a Bentley sound system and beautiful seat heaters and the double glazed windows, etc. You can see that there. So it's a unique piece. The car will do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in under 4 seconds. Top speed on the car is 330 kilometers an hour. So there's not much on the road that'll keep with it. This car is about $350,000 in Canada, and that's a competitive price comparatively to the US. We're not getting very many, and there you go. It's the fastest, the most sporting Bentley ever produced, and it's a real pleasure to be able to show it to you. It's Lromanosky, the distinctive collection in Calgary, Canada, and thanks for viewing.